So what is healthier for your body, eating a big breakfast or a big dinner? Well, actually, there was a study in the Obesity Journal 2013, and researchers compared two groups of women eating the same amount of calories per day. Group 1 ate the majority of their calories at breakfast, and Group 2 ate the majority of calories at dinner. What was the result? The breakfast group lost 2.5 times more weight. They had better insulin sensitivity, reduced triglycerides by 33%. In the dinner group, they actually had a rise in blood sugar and cortisol markers. So what does that tell us? It's not just about how many calories you eat. It's about how your body is metabolically primed. Your insulin is most sensitive in the morning. Your cortisol naturally rises. It helps you burn fuel earlier. Eating late overrides the system. We want to avoid that. Thank you for joining this episode of Heal Thyself. To support the show, please rate, review, and subscribe. It gives us the opportunity to really expand this knowledge to people who need it most, and you can do your part by just sharing the love. Again, thank you for listening. I'm forever grateful, and I love you all. Let's get started. If you thrive on early morning big breakfasts and you shut down your food by early evening, you might be a lion. Or if you don't want to eat until noon and forcing early meals really empties your tank, you might be a wolf. Lions, bears, wolves, and dolphins, these are your chronotype representations, your body's natural rhythms that tell you when to eat, sleep, when you're primed to burn fat, or when you're primed to store it. And if you're not eating in sync with your chronotype, you could be doing everything right, clean food, solid sleep, regular workouts, and still feel bloated, tired, anxious, wired at night, and stuck with stubborn weight. In today's episode of Heal Thyself, I'm going to show you how to eat in rhythm with your body, not against it, and finally unlock more energy, better digestion, and deeper sleep. Once you learn your chronotype, you're never going to look at meal timing the same again. All right, everyone, welcome to this episode of Heal Thyself. We are going into timing when you eat. It makes a major difference. Some of you can eat in the morning, you be good. Some of you eat in the afternoon and not in the morning, and you feel better. Some of you like eating late at night. Some of you finish early at night. It's a big difference. And if you do it right, you can really optimize and take your health to the next level. Timing is everything. And when it comes to eating, it's not always about what you eat, not whether it's organic or grass-fed or low carb or vegan. I'm talking about when you eat being a really important part of your nutrition. We're talking about time of day, the rhythm of your body, whether your meals are aligned. Because what if when you eat in alignment with your biological rhythm that is set for you genetically, you sleep better, you boost your metabolism, you rebalance your hormones, you sharpen your brain function, and it's not challenging a single thing about what you eat. Instead, it's really about when you eat. That's the power of chrononutrition. And yeah, that term might seem like a buzz sound or a trendy sound, or maybe it's not sciencey, but yeah, it is. Every one of us actually has a biological clock. This is the circadian rhythm, and it's a built-in 24-hour clock, and it governs everything. Everything from when we wake up, how we digest food, how we burn fat, how we detox, basically how our cells work. And your cells, your hormones, your mitochondria, they all are on a time clock. And when you eat your food against that normal biological clock, your body has a hard time breaking down that food and functioning. So you got to eat in alignment with your clock. Everything is flowing. Everything is signals. Earlier this year, there was an article in the Times, and it listed chrononutrition as one of the top rising trends in health. I'll say this, it's not a trend. It's biological law. It's alignment. It's aligning your body with when it's the right time to eat. In today's episode of Heal Thyself, we're going to break it down. Whether you are someone who skips breakfast or eats dinner late at night, let's say 10 p.m., or doesn't understand why you're tired at 3 p.m. no matter how clean your diet is. Today, we're going to look at it all. What does chrononutrition actually mean? The science behind how meal impacts blood sugar, weight, sleep, inflammation, what your chronotype is, and why that actually matters, and how you can align your meals with your true biological rhythm. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why when you eat might just be as important as to what you're eating. So let us dive in. I can't wait for this one, chrononutrition. What the heck is chrononutrition? It is the study of how the timing of what you eat interacts with your circadian rhythm. That is a 24-hour biological clock. It governs everything in our body. And most people think of food in terms of, okay, here's my meal, carb, fat, protein. Maybe they'll think of micronutrients more and lately. But every time you eat, Your body doesn't just see the nutrients. It doesn't just see the back of the label. It sees a timestamp. And your body wants to know, is this food arriving at the right time? Right? Am I actually primed to digest it? Or am I out to lunch, literally, or on break? Are my enzymes active? Is my insulin sensitive? Is my liver ready to process? That's chrononutrition. It recognizes that metabolism isn't just a static thing, day to day to day. It's not the same time all the time the same. It actually fluctuates across a day based on your internal rhythms. And these are governed by a few things: light, sleep, movement, and food intake. Those are the 4 big pillars, and you got to be in alignment. To be healthy, you got to be in alignment with this. You can't miss this bus. The bus of light, sleep, movement, and intake of your food timing is so important. Here's the biology. You have a master clock. It's in your brain, and it's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN. It sits in your hypothalamus, and it responds to light through your eyes, right through the optic nerve, and it regulates your sleep and your wake cycle. So melatonin is produced in conjunction with these signals. Cortisol rhythm, the same thing. It's basically your master circadian blueprint, and it is the key. You have peripheral clocks throughout your body, not just that part of your brain. You also have it in your liver, pancreas, muscle. You have it in your fat tissue. You have it in your GI tract. And unlike the master clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, remember, these peripheral clocks, they're actually set by food. Master clock really set by light. But these peripheral ones, they are, food is the signal. So every time you eat, you're not just feeding your body, you're really syncing or desyncing these timekeepers, right? In the organs. So this matters. Let's say you skip breakfast. You go and you eat a huge lunch and then a snack late at night. That's a common pattern for many Americans. And here's what the body sees. Your liver's clock never got started with breakfast. Your insulin is more resistant at night. So that nighttime food hitting your bloodstream is harder to digest and break down. Your gut isn't primed for digestion at 10 p.m., so food sits there longer, ferments longer. It disrupts your sleep. Your melatonin rises with the setting sun, which blunts insulin response as well, even further. You have poor blood sugar control, gut dysfunction now rising, mitochondrial stress, disrupted sleep. You're gaining more weight, even if you're on a clean diet. So chrononutrition is really important because it reminds us that the body clocks, these internal clocks, need to be in sync. And every time we drift out of it, we eat out of sync, our body goes into this imbalanced state. So we want to get our biology back in sync, and we can do it with food. So in the next section, we're going to unpack the science and studies and really prove how this actually affects everything from weight loss to your brain function, and why eating earlier in the day is one of the most evidence-backed, least talked about tools in healing. You know I'm serious about training. You know I'm serious about recovery. You know I'm serious about getting really fit. In my age, 40 years old, we want to be like I'm 20-year-old fit, right? And I learned a lot about quality supplements over my years, especially in school. And let me tell you, there's a supplement called Puori O3 Ultra Pure Fish Oil. It is the best one in the industry, okay? Best across the board. They only use small fish. They test every single batch against 200 contaminants, 200. And it's essential, especially because a lot of us have really low EPA and DHA. When I was running tests, nutritional tests on people, this was oftentimes something that was really, really low, and it's essential for heart health, brain health, eye health. And guess what? Overall research is also showing that EPA and DHA balance, omega-3s, is really, really important for muscle recovery and strength. So if you're active, it's essential. This is a go-to that I put every morning in my little cup. 2,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA in their natural form, and it's certified both clean and sustainable. I know I'm getting the best omega-3s in the game. Puori is offering you 20% off of this fish oil, and actually all of their products. Just go to puori.com/DRG and use the code DRG at checkout. That is PUORI.com/DRG. We spend a third of our lives sleeping, yet most of us do not even think about what we're sleeping on. And when I discovered that many conventional mattresses actually contain fiberglass and harmful chemicals, I knew we needed something better, for sure. And that's why I switched my mattress to Birch. This was years ago, and I still yell from the mountains about how important Birch is. And what sets Birch apart is their commitment to organic materials. We're talking about the organic cotton, organic wool, 100% natural latex. And the wool is ethical, and it's a natural flame retardant, and it doesn't have the fiberglass in it. And for someone like me who sleeps hot, these materials are incredible at really regulating the temperature. The best part is every Birch mattress is Scots and Green Guard Gold certified, meaning no harsh chemicals or pollutants. Plus, they make it really easy with free delivery, optional setup, and removal of your mattress. And here's an exclusive offer. You, the Heal Thyself listener, get 27% off of your mattress plus 2 free Eco Rest pillows. Go to birchliving.com/healthyself and use the promo code BirchPartner2. So what does the research really say? When we talk about chrononutrition, it's not just a theory. It's one of the most studied and replicated mechanisms that we're seeing in metabolic science. If people are talking about longevity, they got to be talking about this. And yet, almost no one in the mainstream wellness world is talking about it. We're getting lost. We're talking about all these other complex things without going back to nature and fundamental biology. So let me walk you through some of the most compelling studies that are out there that actually justify doing this, right? So what is healthier for your body, eating a big breakfast or a big dinner? Well, actually, there was a study in the Obesity Journal 2013, and researchers compared 2 groups of women eating the same amount of calories per day. Group 1 ate the majority of their calories at breakfast, and Group 2 ate the majority of calories at dinner. What was the result? The breakfast group lost 2.5 times more weight. They had better insulin sensitivity, reduced triglycerides by 33%. And the dinner group, they actually had a rise in blood sugar and cortisol markers. So what does that tell us? It's not just about how many calories you eat. It's about how your body is metabolically primed. Your insulin is most sensitive in the morning. Your cortisol naturally rises. It helps you burn fuel earlier. Eating late overrides the system. We want to avoid that. What's another study? Circadian misalignment, right, for blood sugar. This is really important. There was a study in PNAS journal, and it saw that healthy adults were forced into a simulated shift work pattern. That means they ate at night, they slept during the day, typical night shift, right? And they kept their caloric intake stable. But after 10 days, their glucose tolerance dropped, their blood pressure increased, their cortisol rhythm flattened, meaning that their body actually started to break down, and nighttime eating was leading to internal circadian chaos. Even in healthy people, your organs don't get the signal to rest and repair. Your pancreas really gets confused when you eat late at night. Blood sugar spikes, they stay elevated longer. Another really good study, early time restricted feeding. We saw this in the Journal of Cell Metabolism in 2018. That's the name of the study. And participants in this research study, they ate all of their meals between 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Right? This is an early time restricted window compared to a typical 12-hour eating window. And despite no calorie restriction, the early eating group had lower insulin, reduced oxidative stress, lower evening hunger, better sleep quality, higher fat burning efficiency. What's the takeaway? Well, when you eat early, you're working with your body's hormonal rhythm, not against it. You're burning more fat and it's more efficient. You're sleeping deeper and your cravings are going to drop. We also see this in human studies with the brain. Late eaters tend to have poorer working memory, more fatigue, more disrupted REM sleep. And early eaters, they have better mood stability, better mental clarity. It's not fringe science. Actually, your hypothalamus, your liver, your pancreas, your gut, your brain, they're all running on a circadian code. And when you ignore that clock, we're forcing the body to process fuel while it's asking you, begging you, please let me rest. So in the next section, we're going to talk about what happens when you are out of sync with your circadian rhythm, the symptoms, the silent signs, and the long-term cost of what is going to happen to your health. So now that we understand the science behind it, let's actually talk about how this shows up in real life. Because I know a lot of you are thinking, well, I'm healthy, I eat clean, I'm doing all the right things, I still feel off. Chrononutrition might be the missing piece. It's a big piece. If that eating schedule of yours is misaligned even for a few hours, your body begins to send those subtle signals that it's under strain. It tells the whole body, the organs. Now, some common symptoms that you are eating out of rhythm with your body: fatigue in the morning, despite having 7 to 8 hours of sleep, you're waking up tired. And it's happening because cortisol and blood sugar regulation is off because it's blunted by that late night eating. And even worsening if you're skipping early meals, you crash after meals. You shouldn't be eating your largest meal at dinner. When you have post-meal energy dips, that's a sign of poor metabolic timing. It's not just bad carbs. Bloating and sluggish digestion. Your gut has its own circadian clock, and it's most active earlier in the day. Late meals, low stomach acid, poor enzyme release, fermenting, bloating. Sleep disruption is a huge one. If you fall asleep and wake up between the hours of 1 to 3 a.m., that means you are off with your chrononutrition. And that's often seen because of that blood sugar dysregulation caused by late night eating, elevated nighttime insulin. This is a big one. Brain fog and irritability, especially in the afternoon. Skipping meals or eating too late is going to shift that neurotransmitter pattern in your brain. It's going to lower serotonin. It's going to spike up that adrenaline, and you're going to be off. You're going to be off with your brain. Weight gain, stubborn fat, even if you're eating clean and you're exercising, if your liver is getting food at 10 p.m., it is going to store fat. It's not going to burn it. Hormonal imbalances. Late night eating is going to impact a hormone called leptin, ghrelin, insulin, and cortisol, as I mentioned before, right? So 4 of them, it's going to really impact them. And for women, that can cause a ripple effect to other hormones like progesterone, estrogen. It can even affect your thyroid. Years ago, I had a patient come to my office and she said, Dr. G, I do everything right. I don't drink. And I was big on not drinking, right? I don't have sugar. Obviously, she knew about that. I probably did a post back then. I do cold plunges. She loved the cold plunging. And she eats dinner at 9:30. She was telling me she eats dinner at 9:30. And she can't lose the weight. But she sleeps well. Actually feels calm. So very clearly, I was like, all right, chrono-nutrition. She's eating way too late. Her body very obviously is asking to eat the meal earlier. The problem was she was working out late. So she was eating after she worked out, and it shifted everything. So she had to reshift her whole schedule, especially around working out. And she had her earlier meal around like 5:36. And it created a larger eating or non-eating window. And so she was having that intermittent fast all the time. We did it for 3 weeks. Her sleep got better, and it wasn't even problematic. It wasn't even a thing for her, but it got better. But her weight started to drop, right? Her weight started to drop. Why? It's a hormonal thing. But what are the hormones affected by? Late night eating. She had less cravings. I don't know. Maybe she was eating sugar and she didn't tell me. But her mood became much more stable. So it's not because of the macros. She didn't need to lose weight because of the macros. It was a hormonal thing. It was an inflammation thing. So in the next section, we're going to go into the crucial concept that takes us even deeper, your chronotype. Right? Because not everyone's clock runs the same way. So what is your chronotype? By now, you may understand that your body runs on a clock. We know it. Your liver, your pancreas, your brain, everywhere, your whole body, your gastrointestinal, it runs on a clock. But that's not where it ends. Not everyone's clock's the same. Chronotypes are genetically influenced patterns that determine when your body wants to eat, wake, think, move, sleep, all the things. So they are internal blueprints, internal rhythms. And the more you're going to align with it, the better your nutritional benefits are. When you align with your chronotype, you're going to feel more energy. You're going to be in better mood. Your metabolism is going to improve. Your immune system is going to be in better function. There are 4 chronotypes researched by Dr. Michael Bruce, who I had on the show many years ago. And he's an expert in chronobiology, especially in the context of sleep. But here we're talking about food. So here is the first chronotype. And let's just see if you align with any of these without even taking the test. The lion. This is the early riser, and this is 15 to 20% of the population. They wake naturally around 5 to 6 a.m. High energy, focused early in the day. Their best meals are those big breakfasts, strong lunch, but they have low appetite at night. They want to wind down by 8 p.m., and they're naturally asleep by 9 or 10 p.m. And when a lion doesn't eat in alignment, they're going to feel anxiety. They're going to have those early afternoon crashes, insomnia, if they're overstimulated by eating later in the evening, okay? I'm not a lion. A lot of people are not lions. We often want to wake up early and be lions, but we're not lions. Most people are bears. This is the balance clock. It's 50 to 55% of the population, and it actually follows the solar cycle. So you wake with the sun, you sleep with the sun. So your energy is actually peaking mid-morning to the mid-afternoon. So your best meals are a moderate breakfast, a larger lunch, and a light dinner. And you should eat consistently throughout the daylight. And you sleep well if you have a screen-free environment. But if you don't follow your chronotype, bears out there, you're going to be really sluggish in the morning. You're going to overeat at night, and weight gain might be an issue. All right, 15 to 20% of the population are wolves or night owls, right? And they actually struggle with those early mornings. They're naturally more alert at night. They have more creative energy spiking from 4 to 10 p.m. And their best meals are light breakfasts, if they have any breakfast. They have a solid lunch and a strong dinner. And these chronotypes should delay their meals until cortisol and appetite rises. And their sleep cycle is actually going to be around 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. So there's risks if they're forced into early eating, right? They can actually feel a crash in their cortisol, a blood sugar crash. They can be really tired. They can have depression-like fatigue. Now, this is a small percent, the smallest of all, the dolphins. These are the restless people. They have a restless brain, and this is 10% of the population. These are the lightest sleepers. They tend towards anxiety. They wake up early, but they feel tired. They have a second wind at night. Their best meals are those small, steady meals throughout the day. They actually need nervous system regulation because it's going to help them stabilize digestion and their hunger. When they eat late at night, it disrupts their already fragile sleep. They're already really sensitive to sleep. So they're at risk of sleep fragmentation, especially with late night food, stress eating, and GI dysfunction. So what influences your chronotype? There's genes. There's PER genes, PER genes, and clock genes. These directly influence your circadian rhythm. So hormones like cortisol, melatonin, leptin, ghrelin, they all follow actually a chronotype dependent curve. The nervous system type actually matters. If you're a highly sensitive person, you often map towards dolphin patterns, right? There's an ancestral piece. Some of this is evolutionary. We need early risers and night watchers to protect the tribe, right? Isn't that crazy? That might be where it comes from. So chronotypes aren't just a fun test to figure out, they're actually biological. You actually want to know when is the best time for you to eat and sleep to create the less friction you can in your body and actually align with it, right? To be in ease and flow. So this next section, I'm going to walk you through how to identify your chronotype, tools, questions, how to track it, all the good stuff. So what are the chronotypes? So by now you understand what they are, how they're affected, how they're implicated in our health, how they're really involved in so much, and how important they are to get into alignment with it. So there are 4 types of chronotypes. I mentioned them before. We got the wolves, the lions, the bears, the dolphins. So which one are you? Because when you know your chronotype, you can finally stop fighting your biology. So number 1 step in identifying, reflect. What is your natural rhythm? Ask yourself these questions. Be honest. If you imagine a week with no alarms, stimulants, stress, when do you actually feel your sharpest and most focused? When are you actually truly hungry for your biggest meal? And what time does your body naturally start winding down and actually wanting to go to sleep? When do you feel your most productive, right? Write this all out. Mornings, evenings, afternoons. You're right. If you might already get a sense of which one you are. There's a validated quiz for chronotypes you can take, and it's called the MEQ, Morningness, Eveningness Questionnaire, or the Power of When quiz by Dr. Michael Bruce. Both are free. Both are clinically validated. So you can Google these, and these tests are going to categorize you into one of the 4 chronotypes based on your sleep pattern, wake pattern, alertness, windows, food behaviors, all of it. And once you know, I really want you to track your rhythm for 7 days. If you really want to go deeper, do this. Log the time that you wake up and the time you go to sleep. And note when you feel most energized and sluggish. And naturally track when you're getting hangry, when you feel most social, alert, productive. You're going to begin to see these natural peaks and valleys in your timing. And guess what? How cool is this? It's your body's clock speaking to you. So here are a few caveats. Don't confuse these clocks with chronic dysregulation. If you're exhausted all day or wired all day due to stress or trauma, that can affect everything. And you might think you're a dolphin when you're really a bear, right? So chronotypes can shift, right? And especially with hormone status, but really the chronotype you are is pretty much the chronotype you are at your core. Also caffeine can affect it. Know that if you're addicted to caffeine, it's going to really affect everything. But once you know your chronotype, really your next step is to optimize it, right? This is the heart of chrononutrition. You want to align your meals with your biological chronotype. For example, if you're a lion, the best time to eat is 7 a.m. and you want a big protein, fat-rich breakfast. 12 p.m. you want protein, slow carbs, greens. And at 5 p.m. you want a light dinner, easily digestible. And it works, right? Because lions have that peak cortisol and insulin sensitivity early on. They process and burn fuel better in the first half of the day versus the second. Don't skip breakfast. Avoid caffeine, anything past noon for sure, because you go to sleep early. And make dinner your smallest meal. You want to fast 14 to 16 hours. And if it feels right, and avoid these things, late night snacking. You don't want to crash your sleep. So if you are a bear chronotype, like most of you are, you're going to wake up between 7 to 8 a.m. And the best time to eat for a bear is 8:30 a.m. And you want a moderate breakfast, for example, something like oats, eggs, and berries. Now, 1 p.m., that's going to be your largest meal of the day. You're going to have a lot of protein, fiber, and carbs. And then 7 p.m., you're going to go lighter. It's going to be a lighter dinner with protein and veggies. Why does this work? Because bear chronotypes, they sync with the sunlight cycle. So their energy, their hunger, and digestion, they follow a natural midday peak. So for bears, you gotta respect daylight eating. You do not want to eat after the sun goes down, and you want to make sure you get sunlight in the morning to reinforce that clock. You got to be consistent with your meal times, stable for energy and mood improvements. And you want to avoid skipping meals. It's going to trigger cortisol crashes in the evening and hunger spikes as well. If you are a wolf chronotype, you wake up between 9 and 10 a.m. and your best time to eat is actually 10:30 a.m. And you want something light, like a light smoothie, a small breakfast. And then 3 p.m. is your largest meal of the day. When it comes to 8 p.m., you don't want to skip meals. By 8 p.m., you want a satisfying dinner. Don't skimp on it. Make sure it's robust. Why? Because wolves have delayed cortisol and insulin peaks. So they burn fuel better later in the day. They feel more energetic after sunset. So you don't want to force a big early breakfast because you're not going with your body's cortisol rhythm. Wait for the appetite to come and use protein-rich snacks late in the afternoon. You want to avoid those sugary or high-carb late-night meals. And if you are a dolphin with the most sensitive nervous systems of all, God bless, I feel bad. You're going to wake up around 6 to 7 a.m., but you are going to feel unrested. But the best time to eat is actually around 7:30 a.m. A light, easy to digest breakfast. You want a moderate lunch at 12:30, and at 6 p.m. you want a gentle dinner. You don't want to overeat. And this works because dolphins have this erratic sleep and cortisol spike. Their digestion is really sensitive, and meal regularity helps calm the nervous system for them. So you want to stabilize that blood sugar with protein and fat. You want to avoid stimulants by all costs and refined carbs, and use herbal teas, right? Get them in there. Start eating magnesium-rich foods. Don't undereat all day. You don't want to binge at night. It's going to destabilize your mood and your gut. It's going to be a mess. So for all chronotypes, generally speaking, you want to eat your calories earlier, not later. Your metabolism winds down with the sun for sure. You want to anchor your first meal within 60 to 90 minutes of waking up, unless you're a wolf, and keep that consistent rhythm going. The circadian rhythm loves consistency. You want to fast a little bit at night for sure, for 12 to 14 hours. All right, so let's land this plane here. Everything we've talked about, the studies, the rhythm science, the chronotypes, it really all comes down to one principle. Your body ain't a machine. It's a clock. And your fuel really needs to match the time. So when you eat at the right times, your system, your blood sugar, your cortisol, your digestion, your sleep, inflammation's going to drop, nervous system's going to calm. It's all going to be working out for the better. It's really one of the most low effort, high reward interventions you can do. And I did it with all my patients. You want to Google Dr. Michael Bruce's Chronotype test. Go take the quiz, right? And track your rhythm. 7 days. See how it works for you. Write out those timing based on the parameters that I mentioned. You want to really prioritize protein and healthy fat as one of your first meals. For most chronotypes, you're going to front load your calories. You just really want to make sure you're eating meals around the same time. It's going to train your liver, your gut, your brain, your pancreas every single day when you show up at the same time. I'm going to tell you, it's not just about discipline. It's really about that biological reverence for your body, your rhythms, your flow. Your body's so intelligent. It doesn't just care about macros. It cares about how you're flowing with your body. If you really follow this, you're going to notice massive changes in your health. So I really hope this helped you. Follow your chronotypes. And if you haven't yet, please rate the show, review the show, send it to a loved one, go to YouTube and subscribe. It really helps the show grow. I really thank you for your time. I love you all. I'll see you next week.